Clockwise Spots. I'm Scout. That's Black.
How you doing, everybody?
Season two. Yeah, we had a
Yes,
short,
yes.
we had a short, lovely little break, but let's get right into it. What's on everyone's minds right now? And our new president-elect, Mr. Joe Biden.
Hot stove topic.
Oh yes. So, Black, how do you feel about that at the moment? With all these rumors about Donald saying that he wants to go to court about all of this, saying all these miscounts on votes and all this other stuff. What's your view on
Well, I mean, honestly, could you really expect anything less? I mean, this is the first time we've really done, the whole mail-in balloting the way that we did. I believe they said it was like 95 million people had already done the whole early voting, so that was already counted. But at the same time, with all the ballots that have to come in, it was going to take a minute. Like it was no way, I mean, the mail-in voting would have had to be early voting in itself to have everything counted by the time of election day. So personally, me, I don't care what side of the fence you lean on. You tell me there's an election, but we're still counting votes days afterwards. You're going to automatically feel that there's room for some sort of error, some sort of espionage, I guess you could say. There's space for it. So excuse me, I can't say that I don't I can't say I fault President Trump for feeling as though this was a little bit shady, even if there's no real 100% concrete proof. Because from what I hear, each campaign has members stationed at the locations where the votes are being counted just to make sure this is observed fairly.
it?
But again,
Right.
like I said, just the whole process of this happened, a couple of days after the original election. Yeah, yeah, on either way you look at it, whether I'm Joe, whether I'm Donald, I'm going to feel that this is kind of suspect because there's just too much room for something crazy to happen. Personally, so I guess I can say I'm with President Trump with going forth and just making sure he's checking every avenue he can. I mean, the guy doesn't want to lose the election, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that he's going to try and do everything he can to make sure that if there is some slight chance, some great chance that there's something we all haven't seen or paying attention to, that it's going to be brought to the forefront. I mean, he's been doing that his entire presidency.
Okay, but wait a minute. On that same note, President Trump told his people to not to do a mail-in ballot and then go to the polls. So don't you feel like that's what hindered him? Because all the tallied votes, majority of them that's coming in, is for Mr. Biden and them. Because Joe just said, make your voice heard. He wants you to vote. Donald said, don't do the mail in because it can be messed up. He wants you there in person. So don't you think that hindered him a little bit instead of telling his people to mail in and to do it early?
Well, I mean, realistically, yeah, but at the same time, the whole mail-in voting was the Democrat ace in the hole. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. There's a lot of people. Let's just be honest. When we look at these polls, when we look at these tallies for these votes and everything, at the end of the day, it's just common sense. You see the amount of people that voted for the red, you see the amount of people that voted blue, and you see the amount of people that voted in between. That's not indicative of all of the people in our country. So I think the whole concept of doing the mail-in voting was always going to favor Joe Biden in the campaign, just because there's a lot of people that probably are going to vote Democrat. I can almost out of some sense of just understanding. And with that being said, a lot of those people don't actually show up to the ballots. So you know what I mean? If you mail out the ballot to them, then it's more of a chance that they're going to actually participate.
Well, I can somewhat agree with that. But this year, election did have a new nation high for new voters and more people actually voting. So I understand that aspect. I truthfully do. But To me, I just feel that, you know, Donald just did not encourage enough about the whole mail-in process. He didn't want it no part of his campaign at all, and he wanted you to show up, and it's to be. I don't want to misquote this or say how he said. It'll be un-American. It's your patriotic duty to show up to the polls to vote. The way I see it,
Mm-hmm.
if you get the ballot, it didn't matter if it was mail-in or you showed up, as long
Mm-hmm.
as you made your voice heard.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, like I said, I'm pretty sure the Trump campaign was looking at it from the perspective of there's probably a lot of people who don't normally vote. And realistically, most people's first time voting, they usually put Democrat. I mean, let's just be honest. They usually do. So I knew that. I'm pretty sure that the Trump campaign saw that as a hill that they were going to have to climb anyway. So by trying to get more people up and get more people out, they were hoping to offset that that increase or that influx of voters that you don't normally see. Again, now you're going to get the crazy stories of was somebody, was the person that voted this way, that person's been deceased for 8 years, so how in the world did they vote? Of course, you're going to get those crazy stories as well. But
True.
like I said, from what I understand, there are people at each location where the votes are being counted to make sure that fair play is is being carried out. Now I don't know if they're realistically getting like a map of the demographic of the area. Like if you tell me you're in a voting precinct where okay, in this precinct there are X amount of people based on the census, so we shouldn't get over that number of votes for this precinct because there aren't that many people in the area. I'm not exactly sure if that's how they're doing it. Maybe that would be one way to verify that you're not getting, like I said, an influx of votes from people who just are not here. But
True.
at the same time, in this election, it was. I mean, it's realistically your civic duty to vote. So if they make voting for you easier, I don't really see where that's a problem because people want you to vote, unless they don't want you to vote because they realize your vote is going to go contrary to what they want. Now, if that's the case, then yeah, they're going to try and sabotage that however they can. But I believe more people in this election probably participated because most of them didn't have the excuse of being lazy. You know what I mean? It was put directly in front of their face. And those are the people that, in my opinion, make up a large majority of our populace. A lot of people who are just, in a sense, too lazy to go vote.
True. All right. But how do you feel about the first female black, female vice president or female period as a vice president? What about that? Because that's a great milestone in history as itself.
Well, I mean, was it John McCain that tried to get Sarah Palin to run it, as his VP? So, I mean, it's not like this hasn't been tried before. But, yeah, congratulations to, I'm going to say congratulations. I'm going to temper that because I don't believe everything's been counted yet. But if the projection follows, then, congratulations, Vice President-elect Harris, for bringing the first female to hold the office. I believe that might be a little bit of an interesting dynamic because she's, I mean, honestly, clearly, she has more of the energy to do this job than our president-elect. I'm just going to say that. I'm not saying he can't do the job, but you can clearly see that she has the energy and I want to say the stamina to handle the responsibility. So with that being said, I'm glad that the person that, is going to be right there is up for the task. With that being said, I'm not sure exactly how that plays out in foreign policy. Now, I know we're not the only country to have a female in a high position of power, but I genuinely do feel that some countries that we have tensions with, I don't believe that they would look fondly on a female having that position of power in negotiations. Now, I understand that our current president has done some work to smooth over tensions in the Middle East. So hopefully, again, our what I believe is our president elect and our vice president elect will have an easier time with foreign negotiations in those countries, seeing as how our current president has tried to establish some sort of a peaceful foothold there.
Well, this is what I take from it. From watching her debate, she proved to me that she can hold and stand her own with any man or female in the room.
Hmm.
She's not going to be bullied. She's not going to be disrespected. And I think for me personally, that's what it's going to take to seal some of these negotiations and to make sure stuff gets back on track the way it needs to be and to go further than what we've had before. That's just me. I ain't gonna broadcast my stuff on anybody else. That's just me. That's what I'm believing in. I think she holds her own and she's not afraid to use her voice and her platform to one, make change, and two, to stand up for what the beliefs are and what's going to go. Can we say is that going to happen yet? No, time will tell. But from what I've seen, from her being from a lawyer and all this rest of the stuff, and mainly from the debate, she did not let the current vice president belittle her or outtalk her at any stage of that whole entire debate. So
No, no, no. I can
interesting.
understand that.
It's going to be interesting for that.
Well,
Well,
yeah, but I mean, realistically, at the same token, given some of the negotiations given some of the foreign policy and the foreign situations that we've dealt with, within the last 4 years, realistically, our current president has, in a sense, I guess you could say, like negotiated or renegotiated a lot of situations that a lot of agreements that we've had that were previously, set up. And it's just interesting because most people in politics, most people in, on the hill, as they say, they have some, I guess you could say to a degree, some understanding of law. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm painting everybody with a broad brush, but I believe senators, congressmen and women, have a pretty good understanding of the law because I believe that's kind of what they do. But at the same time, some of these negotiations, some of these business dealings were able to be in a sense revamped and to a degree come out with a more favorable outcome for us as Americans, because the person handling the negotiations looked at it not as a legal proceeding, but as a business transaction. So I don't know if we're going to notice, that I guess that perspective. I don't know if maybe that perspective is just a different way of getting things done, because it seems like it was gaining some ground. But then again, this is, as far as I can understand, the first time we've really had a businessman for a president.
true. But with saying that, yeah, he businessman, but he bought a businessman type tactics, and a lot of ways how that was rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because it was more that he was out for the next deal to get done instead of solving problems, and then he brought chaos and stuff like that. Needless to say, picking on the superstars or popularity people that he picked on. He picked on
Hmm.
LeBron James. He picked on Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And for a president, in my eyes, to act like that, you're acting childish.
Oh
You
yeah, well, I
you
mean,
know,
come on now, we know that's who we're dealing with.
yeah, and to me, he was more concerned about his presidential team than how certain things that happened in his tenure what's going on. But it's good to see how we're going to move forward because those two that's getting ready to take office, or if it comes out, however this plays out, if they're still going to have to deal, bottom line, with the aftermath that is with everything that's went on. Uh,
Mm.
from all the police brutality, the pandemic, uh, people being out of jobs. The unemployment rate has been at the lowest what it's ever been right now because of what stuff, and that's those things
Now,
have to be answered.
now
So
see, now see, that's where I'm a little bit, wary as far as the entire, the whole shebang, only because realistically, uh, like, okay, a lot of that stuff is going to require policy. I'm not saying it's not going to, but to a degree, it's almost like saying to get a better understanding of what's going on, you almost have to have a business mentality when looking at it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that Camp Biden Harris can't look at things from a law, from a policy perspective. It's just that in some cases, a lot of decisions that we're going to face now can literally just come down to what we call, just good business. And in that regard, a businessman's perspective is probably a little bit more of a benefit than say a politician's perspective of it. Even though we agree policy needs to happen, but
yeah,
the basis of policy, in a sense, should be good business. If that makes sense.
yeah, it makes sense. I would say, for those who take that job, it's
Mm-hmm.
you're already backs against the wall. So what are you going to do now? Uh, and basically, we're going to find out as a nation. But those topics will have to be addressed, and we will see with time if it gets addressed. But for me to say this, and I will say it again, I'll say it to anybody: handle the injustices, things that have been done wrong. Handle those first because they have gotten out of hand, way out of
Well,
hand.
if you really want to address the elephant in the room, if we want to start trying to point elbows and fingers and toes and lean in a certain direction, I mean, realistically, you could even look at it from the vantage point of, okay, the president can handle the business, he can handle the money, whatever the situation is, he can somehow figure out how to make the money make sense.
Right.
Realistically, maybe the sitting vice president, should have been trying to figure out how to unite the people. You know what I mean? At least the way I see it, the current president, he's good with fixing the money. So that's what he does. So realistically, I know I can hold it against him to a degree that his concept on policy with uniting the people is a little bit off. But at the same time, I have to be honest with myself. I knew that that wasn't really his strong point in the first place. So I would think that his running mate would kind of be stronger in those areas that he isn't so much himself in, so that way we could get a realistic whole a solid forward progression. We could get business deals and things of that nature resolved, so that way money starts to flow back into the way that the economy, though it was already projected to start picking up at this time anyway, but so the economy can get back rolling. But at the same time, we have a voice that can say, hey, you know what, I'm going to stand out here on this lawn, this rose garden or what have you, and I'm going to start talking to people, and we're going to calm people down. We're going to get people back on the same page. I mean, realistically, I think that's what you would want from your pres, vice pres, your combo. One of you has to be able to sit in the boardroom and get things ironed out without question. Somebody has to do that. I think that's supposed to be the president. But I would at least like the vice president to actually do, in a sense, do something, to be the bridge between the people and the president, himself or herself, because in times we live, it could very well be a woman. But I look at this situation where in the Biden Harris in the Biden Harris projection, I see it where I think for the most part, Joe can sit down with leaders, with foreign leaders, and sit down and discuss things, policy wise.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see if Kamala Harris can actually unite the people, because I think that's what a lot of people are going to look to her to do. I don't necessarily know if that's what the vice president is supposed to do. I could just be, living out a pipe dream right now, but I think that's what a lot of people might look to her to do. So I'm interested to see if she can help unify the populace, but unify us not by just saying, okay, we're gonna look at one side, point the finger, and say, okay, you guys are all wrong, but we're gonna actually realistically admit blame on both sides and see if we can collectively come to an agreement to move forward.
Yeah.
This isn't just going to be he said, she said.
Right? Because this nation does need to move forward. But it's like how you said, somebody's going to have to sit down and hear the sides out and bridge that gap to fix these problems. That's just the bottom line, and that's just what
Yeah.
happened. Um, but like I said, we will see. Um, and other things, other topics is on, you know, that's been going on. Congratulations to the LA Lakers winning yet another championship. After being,
Congratulations to the Dodgers for finally getting one.
yes, the World Series. That's been great. Even
Kershaw's
though,
got the monkey off his back.
yes, even though this next statement will break my Cleveland Brown heart. Congratulations to all the Steeler fans out there to being, oh Lord, 8-0. It's hard to say 8-0 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but to y'all's fans, I give a it
I
hurts
know a
to
couple of
say
them.
yes, it hurts to say congrats. But going around the NFL, looking at it how it is, Dallas fans are shocked.
Well, yeah.
You went from playoff contention to your quarterback going down to woo. Should you tank games or should you not tank games to get that draft pick? I don't think Jerry Jones is gonna go for the tanking, but we we gonna woo, we gonna see about that.
Well, I mean, can we really? Let's like at this point, like I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to play the other side, but at this point, can we stop calling it tanking? Let's stop that. Realistically, at the end of the day, all it is manipulating the system that already exists. The system says if your record is awful, we will give you the best prospect coming out to bring your franchise back up. If that means you lose on purpose to take advantage of said system, so be it. But we're not. I don't think we could call it tank. That's just the system at play.
I
if
hate
you
to
if
say
you
it.
want tanking to stop happening, you're going to have to revamp the lottery process to make this more incentive to try to win.
I disagree because if that's the case, my team, the Cleveland Browns, is oh Lord, since the NFL started, we didn't tank the heck of a lot and ain't got to that championship yet.
I mean, you
But
got Baker Mayfield, so what do you expect? But never mind.
I'm gonna leave that one alone because
I think everybody gonna leave that one alone.
some people actually enjoy his play in Cleveland. I'm so
And
sorry.
some people enjoy Johnny Manziel too.
They're both wrong in my category, but I'm still loyal to the Dog Pound alum, so that's fine. But another thing, what I also noticed, the NBA coming back December 22nd. That's a quick
Yeah.
turnaround. Um,
Mhm.
what the draft? What later on this month? I think. Um, if I'm looking at if I read that right in one of the reports, uh, the draft is coming. Coming soon. I'm rooting for
Yeah, they're gonna.
LaMelo.
I think they said the 18th.
Me myself, I'm rooting for LaMelo. I hope Cleveland does.
To go where?
No, honestly, we got the cap space as Cavaliers. We got the cap, and I honestly feel that we should talk to the Timberwolves, trade Tristan Thompson or Kevin Love, get one of them for their contract, and then get the ball boy, and also,
What exactly are the Cleveland Cavaliers going to do with a ball boy? I'm confused. Help me understand that.
Okay, I will help you understand. One, we're going to get rid of our Saxon. He got to go. Bye. Get rid of him. Like I said, trade him in a package deal with either Kevin Love so he can go back to the Wolves to retire. Get that money off books. You get you LaMelo, right? You already got two good rookies that was outscoring Saxon last year. You leave Larry Nance there. You tell Tristan Thompson, hey, if we also get you help later on in the draft, would you stay to help mentor this guy? Since we got another draft pick later on down in the draft.
You want Tristan Thompson as a mentor to? Whoa, okay, never mind.
No, only on the court, not otherwise. Only on the court.
Well, let me tell you how to get a Kardashian. Okay.
All I'm asking is
I'm just saying.
The reason why I'm saying it doesn't matter what team LaMelo going to. I will say this, and I did the research. He's going to back it up because one reason, only, and it's not because of LeVar or anybody else. Is that young man does not like
everything except for LeVar.
But no. What I'm saying though, think about it. He went with Puma against his father, and instead of coming back to the Triple B's, stuff like that. But the only reason why
they couldn't sell them shoes.
Hey, when you come on now, even with us trying to do your own brand, it's hard out here. It is very hard. It does not.
When you're selling shoes for $500 a pair, yes, it is very hard.
True. Maybe he should have tweaked that a heck of a lot. But let's learn. But I'm gonna say this: that young man, does not like doubt. And the naysayers that has said that he could not do this or can't. And the way how he came back from overseas wasn't looked at as a top ranking prospect. For a long time, he wasn't on no one's board. And then he put in the work. I'm not mad at that. That meant that right then and there, he was willing to throw the kiddiness and everything else behind him. Shows that no, I want to be here. I put in.
Well, he about to get paid. Of course, he wants to be there. He gonna do whatever he got to do to make sure he gets paid. You know what I mean? Motor, and all of that is going to be something that they're gonna look at anyway within the draft. But realistically, I'm just trying to figure out where do you send him? Like
I'm telling you,
I believe the lottery's already occurred. So you know what I mean? Where do you send him within the top?
I think the top three is like Minnesota, Golden State, and one other. But
I think Golden State has the second pick.
Right, but okay.
And they're looking at the Wiseman kid.
Right, because think about it. You got Steph Curry coming back. He's going to be healthy. You don't need another.
You got Klay Thompson coming back.
Right, and he's going to be healthy. So you don't need a guard.
And then the weird thing that I heard, something ridiculous, was the potential of Dwight Howard joining the Warriors, but we're not even going to get into that.
True. Now, my thing is, to find a good enough fit, you want to find somewhere, one, you can build, and two, you still got young legs to where it can help these young men. Even though a lot of people did not like the trade of his brother to the Pelicans, look what has happened. They were this close to getting into the playoffs, and they got a young team.
And that was really because he was injured. I think they lost him for a month.
Right. lost him for a month. But look, if people would honestly look how he played in the bubble, he stepped his game up. He did what he needed to do. And all what we've heard as basketball fans the last 3 years or so, can he really cut it? Is he a bust? He's proven that he hasn't. When a man can change his jump shots from changing teams and hitting at a
Well,
higher percentage, I give that man
Tristan
props.
Thompson changed. Tristan Thompson changed his free throw, but we ain't even gonna get into that either. But I mean, look, Lonzo. We know Lonzo's talented. We know. I don't think anybody actually ever doubted Lonzo's talent. I think what the issue was, they doubted, what his father hyped him up to be. But I mean, nobody ever really said that the kid couldn't play. Like I said, I equated to, a poor man's Jason Kidd. A younger poor man's Jason Kidd, where I believe, he's gonna have, the 8 or 9 assists, the 6 or 7 rebounds, and he might only have like 8 or 9 points. You know what I mean? But he's going to be hovering around that realistic triple double game in and game out. But he's going to do it within the flow of the offense. It's not going to be anything flashy. Now Melo, coming out, I think it's supposed to be something like totally opposite of that, just like this explosive scorer. And I mean, again, depending on where you put that, what system you put him in, you're not going to get really maximize his talent by saying, okay, here, we think you're the best offensive option we have. Here's the ball, go score. You know what I mean? Without having a realistic, a support system around that. So, I mean, as far as explosive scoring, if he did fall to the Warriors at 2, then yeah, maybe I can understand in that wide open system, Steve Kerr's running out there, that maybe you might actually be able to see the glimpses and the flashes of what this kid really could be. But I mean, if you're given the number 1 pick, to the Timberwolves or something, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, the Timberwolves got it. Only thing where I could think they're trying to help Carl Towns, uh,
Nah, that boy need all the help he can get. I
but
mean, look, at the end, look, I'm not trying to be mean, but you could see sometimes, some of the guys who just want it more.
true. Um,
He's immensely talented. It's just, I mean, Andrew Wiggins had the same issue. You're immensely talented. Physically gifted. God gave you all the tools that He could, but it's just how much do you want it?
yeah, that's what it boils down to. Everybody does not always have a heart of a champion. That is something that is put with time and dedication. You got to leave your mark. Some people, you know, get to a certain plateau and don't want to keep pushing themselves. And you
Well,
got
they're
to,
going to have to push themselves now because of the quick turnaround in the season. These guys are going to actually push themselves a little bit harder than before. You might actually see an uptick in injuries as well because, well, I mean, for anybody who played within to the conference finals.
right.
You know what I mean? I know every team didn't participate in the bubble, and a couple of them got eliminated very quickly, as far as the play-in games go. So it's not going to be everybody, but those teams that made deep playoff runs, especially this year more than any other year, you're going to really see not so much the rust, I don't think, in the beginning of the season. I think it's realistically going to hit towards the latter part of the season where you're going to see legs that just give out on players based on just the amount of miles, let alone LeBron, who's been playing, I mean, goodness, how many, this will be 18 years
Yeah, this is about to be
with the
18.
amount of,
Uh,
with the amount of miles on his body, you know what I mean? I question whether or not in the end, in the last leg, if he's going to have the legs to really drive it home to really compete for a back-to-back championship run.
uh, well, I think personally, LeBron spends a good amount of money on his body, and what I heard, well, what I heard from watching the shop and staying following basketball, that man left the bubble, said hi to his family and everything else, and did all his hellos and glad to be home. And then again, within 2 hours, he was right back in his personal gym because he knows that turnaround. Um,
So I assume that he not disciplining his son for allegedly smoking bud on Instagram videos. Nice
I
to know. Nice to
well,
know.
I think this. I think they had a talk. They had a talk while he was there. I think he trusts his wife Savannah to make sure something else was enforced, and he had a heart-to-heart talk with him then, and that's as far as it went. I'm not gonna speculate because that man runs his home how he runs it. But I
Hmm.
will say this: if you're gonna look at it of how this NBA season is gonna turn around, the way how I see it, a lot of people should have a chip on their shoulder. I'll name a few teams, for instance, the LA Clippers should have a chip. Paul George was Brick City, have a chip. Uh, the other, the Houston Rockets, y'all still, last time I checked, don't have a coach and has one of the
They didn't
least
have a
score.
team, much less a philosophy.
But that's what I'm saying. You got Mr. Triple Double, uh, Oscar Robin Jr. and Wilton Westbrook, and then
Yeah, but at the end of the day, what is that? What does that
Beard the
really
Beard,
translate to?
who's over there, right? And
But what
then
is that triple double? What does that walking triple double really translate to? You know what I mean?
it helps
Seriously, I mean, it looked good.
individual
It
tasks,
looked
but
good in OKC, but you realize that his big man is boxing people out to allow him to get rebounds,
well,
and his assists are basically bailout passes where he's caught up in the air. So what did Mr. Walking triple double? What did that really get you?
well, it's supposed to get you more than what it did. The other,
I mean,
the
James Harden is one of the most prolific scorers that we've ever seen the
true.
game to have. And realistically, what has that gotten him?
Well, I look at it this way: they both started in Oklahoma. They already knew
Hmm.
the chemistry and how it worked before.
Mm.
They probably need to relook at that. But that's just out there in the West. If you come back in the East, uh, Mr. Creek Free, I know that you winning MVPs, but my goodness, you exiting like that in the playoffs, what the
Hmm.
extra hardware mean?
That he can run,
No, no,
dunk, and like
I'm
James
not
Harden said, it doesn't take much skill to be tall. I guess. I mean,
no, I'm gonna say it like this: when your younger brother has an NBA championship and you don't, and you've been putting in all this extra work, but you don't.
well, when your younger brother has LeBron James as a teammate,
Yeah,
there's that too. I think.
true, true. I ain't gonna say how that fell out in the fall. And the other team, last but not least, well, no, it's actually two more teams. Philly, y'all got Doc.
Oh, please, they need to get it together up there.
That's what I'm gonna say to this. Y'all got Doc.
They need to get it together.
Get it together. That's what I'm gonna say on that, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Other than that, I'm gonna say this last, and it's actually two teams to one. Boston.
Maybe I think Boston's hit their ceiling.
Figure it out.
Real talk.
And then
I don't know if they could actually get any better than they are now.
true. And then other than that, Miami. Get Jimmy some help.
They got lucky.
Get Jimmy some help. I'm
I
gonna
don't
say.
think there's enough help you could get Jimmy.
Well, you think of it how it is now. If you're coming out the East, it's laid back home. Who over here?
Yeah, but still, I mean, you still have to fight Boston, Toronto to some degree, Philly, Milwaukee. You're at least your top four. You're at least pretty heavy in the East as far as the top four. Now trickling down from 5 to 8 might not necessarily be that drastic, but at least those top four are going to be legitimate heavyweights. Can beat anybody on any given night with no problem.
True, but look at what their records is compared to the 18
Mm-hmm.
West. It's big difference. And I ain't
Mm-hmm.
saying I'm an ultimate fan of the super teams and you doing whatever to get to what team you knew. Look, y'all
Mm-hmm.
grown men. You put on your shorts the same way, one leg at a time. It's your job to
Yeah,
show
so
up and play every night because we pay to see you play.
well, load management is the new thing. I guess the new old thing. So there's no guarantee everybody gonna show up and play every night anyway.
True. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it is
last
what
but
it
not
is. This is the new NBA.
true. Last but not least, I'm going to give a major shout out to my man Justin Fields and my Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm gonna get that in there because uh, for this man to only throw 11 incomplete passes in 3 games and close to 20 some touchdowns, close to 20 touchdowns in 3 games is phenomenal.
You moving that ball.
Oh yeah, I will also
You
give a
swinging
shout
it.
out. I will also give a shout out to the Fighting Irish. They played their hearts out in that overtime or
A
double
Buckeyes
overtime
fan
game.
shouting out the Irish. That's new.
Yeah, look, I give credit where credit is due. You know,
That's new.
they pulled off that double win, that double overtime win against Clemson. Um,
Ooh.
yes, yes,
Mhm.
and then I will give
Okay.
that
Credit due.
um, Alabama, y'all still ain't played, really ain't played nobody yet. So
Well, let's see how their schedule set up.
right. Oh, also I will say this for all my Marshall fans, I know that
Did
you
this
are
man
sick.
say Marshall?
Yeah. Oh, look, the Thundering Herd is still undefeated. I will give a shout out to them because they are still undefeated. The last time I recall this happening and they going on this trend was when Randy
Mm.
Moss and all of them was there. So I give
That was a
props.
while ago.
Yeah, I give props when props is due. They are playing great football down there. Continue on. Um, other than that, me and Black would like to say thank y'all for coming back and joining us again for the second season
Definitely.
of Clockwise
Thank y'all
Live.
for having a seat with us.
Oh yes, but you know we're gonna table it for right there. Um, follow us, like us, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit those bells for notifications because you know we're gonna start putting out shows a lot more often. You'll see 2 to 3 shows a week. Tell somebody about it. Also, with that saying, you know,
Pass the word on.
oh yeah, pass the word on. Get it out there.
Hmm.
But even with that, we'll let you continue back to your regular scheduled program and you just keep us in your cycle. We'll get back with you in the next Clockwise Thoughts.
Later, everybody.